Welcome, everyone. Please grab a seat. If you guys want to listen to our great panel session, please. So we'll go ahead and start. My name is Diego Arrioja. I'll be moderating this amazing panel, Passion to Purpose, Unreasonable Innovation. So with me, we have a great group of guys that they're going to introduce themselves, and they're going to talk, specifically, we're going to talk about how innovation impacts in sports, in youth in particular, and how it's changing the game. So I'm going to go and start with my right, and we have Rogelio. Rogelio, please introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Hi, Rogelio. I'm the CEO of European Football Group, and I started all this because I am a soccer dad, and things needed to change in my eyes, and this is how the journey started, right? And it all started with why is something getting done a certain way, and why not changing it? And then I met this cool gentleman here on my left that had the same question and the same answer in their own industries, in their own sectors, in their own business, and well, here we are. So this is Jeff.
Hello, Jeff Kretschmar. I'm the CEO for Omega Ball, and Omega Ball is a new soccer-based sport focused on innovation. It's a smaller pitch. It's round, 3 goals, 3 teams, 1 ball, and what we're really focused on is creating opportunity for a new game and for our youth to play that game. So we'll get more into that, and I'll let people keep introducing themselves.
Yeah.
Hello, my name is Asier. I work for Voon Sports. I'm the Director of Business Development. And essentially what we do at Voon Sports is we bring technology into the development of the technical ability of football players. The way we do it is through smart rebounders, which bring gamification into the development of the technical ability. And with the technology integrated in our products, we're able to measure key performance metrics on the player so that we can then analyze the development of the players over time and get to know the players better on the technical ability aspect.
And hi guys, my name's Gary Monk. So my background's in professional football. I was 18 years as a player and 10 years as a head coach at the professional levels in England. And obviously I'm a co-founder of a platform called soccerprofile.com. And really it's using that expertise that I have and that experience of my network and formulating basically what becomes a player and coach development tool, resources and everything that comes along with that. So that's what Soccer Profile is, and we're going to talk about that innovation and everything that the guys are doing up here today.
Thank you, Gary. So as you guys can see, there's different backgrounds, right? But really thriving for innovation. We have football experience, technology, innovation also, and a new sport, right? And I want to start with you, Rogelio. And you mentioned in your intro, the why not? Why not changing the status quo currently in innovation in soccer and in sports, and in particular in soccer? So I want to start with you and what you guys are doing to change the game.
So we're looking at the game in everything, right? And from customer service to how to administrate a club better, to sports technology, which is how we found Voon Sports, new opportunities for them to learn, which is how we found Omega Ball, new methodology. So it's always like, why just pick one book? You don't go to the library and pick one book and learn everything from one book. So we needed a wide variety of knowledge from many professional clubs around the world, around Europe. And that's how we ended up with Gary. So we look at this as an overall ecosystem strategy on how we can get this better for youth, for children, for future professionals, future CEOs. And that's what we're looking at. As a parent, what do I want out of my youth program? I want more. I want my son to have a better experience. I want to have a better experience when it comes to my payment processing, when it comes to communication with my club, from the analysis with my coaches. So we look at all that in a grand spectrum, and what else can we fix? What else can we do? And I always hated the same answer that some people gave me. Well, I've been doing this for 30 years, and this is what works. So to quote Andrea Agnelli, you can always do it better. And I met these boys, and this is what we're doing, just trying to make it better, right? So the way that we played football 30 years ago, I played in my school. We were not very good, but I felt like a superhero putting the goalie shirt on. And it changed, and I have good memories. And clearly I'm not a footballer, right? That was all Gary. And why can I not give that to other kids? Why can they not learn more? Why? And people ask me, why are you doing this? And my answer is always, why not? My kids deserve it, no? Your kids deserve it, every kid deserves it around. So that's our why not.
That perfectly translates the why not to you, Jeff, coming with a new sport, right? And also changing the dynamic of how football, soccer, works nowadays, and how that can be a new sport attractive, especially for younger crowds, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you use the right word in saying the word dynamic, because we didn't set out to create a change in soccer. That's not what we're after. What we're after is a different opportunity to create dynamic gameplay, to look at team sports in general, and change the linear play and the linear notions of what a sport is and what team sports are. We set out to say, well, why not? Why does there have to be this kid playing on offense and this kid playing on defense, and why are they set into these roles at such young ages? Why are we really focused on selecting a sport for a child and saying this is your sport, right? I think multi-sport play is important, but at the same time, I come from a long background in professional soccer, so at the same time we want to build those skill sets that are going to set them up for success, but it gives little Timmy an opportunity to score a goal where maybe he never has, right? And it gives an opportunity for his family to see him get more action and more gameplay. And it gives an opportunity for people of different skill sets to play a dynamic game and be more creative and be more freestyle, more free-flowing, and really open up the mindset of what a game can be for young boys and young girls everywhere. So we're really trying to be inclusive of different abilities and different ways of thinking, and so it's innovation on the field. It's also created for that younger generation, Gen Z, Generation Alpha. They're the TikTok generation. We lose them at right about 12 seconds, I think. So we want to be able to create as many highlights and as many opportunities as we can for people to be successful. Not everybody's going to sit down and watch a 90-minute game. They're just not. That's not the way things function anymore, right? So let's create as much action as we can. Let's get as many highlights as we can. Let's create those snackable moments that are shareable, that are exciting, and that get out there. We're not tech and we're not data, but we're innovating on the field of play, which is a different opportunity.
So talking about that innovation, right, and Gary and Asier, innovation on the field, and then from your side, it's also about having, the growing up playing as a footballer professionally and coaching for you, Gary, but now translating, especially nowadays, how important it is, and what you guys are doing also in Soccer Profile that is also changing the game on your side.
Yeah, no, it's a good question, because I think with innovation and technologies that are out there now that are available to everyone, and it's growing all the time from that point of view, is I think our perspective at Soccer Profile is the players, especially because they're at the heart of it, is they're very much led by the parents or the coach or whoever it may be in terms of what they use or what they don't use. For our point of view is what we're trying to do with our platform is create that self-awareness. I think when I look back to where I was a young player, and I was growing up playing in the streets with my friends and everything, I was really aware of where I was always at in terms of playing against big lads. How do I figure this out? If it was in a different environment, how do I figure this out? I was always really self-aware in terms of what I need to work on, what I need to do. Where I think that's gone away a little bit. And the innovation and technologies now are amazing, and they're really good. But it's how do you work out which should I use, how should I use it? So what we try and do with Soccer Profile is really make the players self-aware of where they're at, exactly in their development, and what they need to do from that point of view in terms of their development, where it's factual, it's in front of them, and really put that accountability onto the player as well, which I think has been missing a lot in this generation and the generations that will come. So put that accountability back onto them, make them self-aware of their own development, where they exactly are, rather than being told all the time where they need to do, what they need to do, and give them that. And then what you need to do with that as well, because of course the coach is important, the parents are important, is to make sure that they understand as well what they can do to help those players, because ultimately it's about the players. But what we do there is try and support those coaches, give them the right tools, give them the right development, the education with our platform, and then that brings it all together. But really, I guess the main point I'm making is to bring that self-awareness and that accountability for a player and for a coach. That's the best way to develop, it's the best way to learn, and also gives them the freedom to be creative within that, and using the right technologies amongst that is hugely important.
So yeah, guys, that's super interesting, and now getting to you as here, in terms of the technology, but also on the pitch, and how Woon Sports is helping, bringing I would say like as expensive technology now in the feet of young kids or youth that are able to experience what you guys are doing also with Woon Sports.
Yeah, our trajectory throughout the years has always been, or our goal, I should say, it's always been to make technology available to all clubs across the football pyramid, make technology accessible to small academies, small clubs, essentially to democratize technology, which then, connecting to what Gary said, provides players and coaches to actually take ownership of the players' development, providing them a platform, providing them a tool that's, number one, it has to be fun for the kids, it has to be entertaining, it brings an element of competition, which is always something that the kids enjoy, which is something that is not to be forgotten about. The kids go to training, they want to enjoy the session. So that's essentially what we focus on. It's been our goal throughout the years. With a product line that we've just recently launched now, we believe we're there. We have a product now that is accessible to all clubs and academies to be able to enhance players' development and actually get data on the players' development also, which is a key aspect nowadays, to be able to know more about the players and make better decisions.
So with that data, and also Rogelio, from your perspective, and you guys collaborating, working together, how you seen those results from your side, right? From European
the results are amazing. I mean, just the psychological results are awesome. Take my 9-year-old, who's actually using professional grade technology that players like Gary used in Premier League. He's 9. And that's really giving us the analysis on how these players are actually learning. So there's no human error anymore. There's no coach that says he's doing great, he has a good technique, a good kick, he has power, he has speed. That's great. But how can you actually take data into that? So we were discussing this earlier this morning. We have an academy in Eastern Pennsylvania, which they're doing great. Our development team's learning curve. We took 2 teams. One, they were not too interested in the technology. We didn't want to push it. The other team, very interested. Second team, finished 3rd in their league in their first season because they knew where to pass. They were not nervous. They knew how to kick. They knew the formation. It all came because in their head, they're playing a video game. And they're using the same technology that Real Madrid, Barcelona, Chelsea, the list goes on and on at the professional level they're using. That motivation, when they step on that field, they know they're good enough. They're like, my accuracy is good enough. My power is good enough. Translates into a goal. Translates into a proper assist. It translates into smiles. So it has been tremendous in just 2 months that we've been testing it on the field. Our A teams, of course, are using it nonstop at first place of their leagues, on their division. Everybody compliments their passing and their shooting. Technology. So it's great. And the question was, why not? Why are you bringing professional grade technology for kids? Why not? Maybe we'll find our next Mbappe. Maybe we'll find, our next Haaland. We don't know. And this helps, and it also has repercussions, positive repercussions in their classroom. They're more focused. They're in a better mood. They know what they can achieve when they're focused, and it's all because of data. One thing is a coach or a president or a DOC saying, you're doing a great job, Timmy. The other one is a computer saying, you're at 47 accuracy first month, you're at 63% accuracy, and now which benchmark it, you're in the same level as a premier academy kid on the other side of the world. that in their head, tremendous. Their performance on the field, tremendous. Their happiness, tremendous. The parents, they cannot thank us enough. So it works, and it works great.
And to add to that, Rogelio, and we were talking, the last few days, how, for example, Omega Ball, and how you found out well, your son, but basically it was the one who told you, right?
Yeah, so straight out, it's just my company is built around my son. On what he asks, I think they are the future, right? I think it's cliche to say that, or everybody says that. Road trip, we found a hotel with no Wi-Fi. Surprise, surprise, his VR wasn't working. He got upset. Dad, I'm gonna watch football. Go watch football. Turn ESPN. I'm on a phone call, getting my attention. Dad, you need to come see this. Dude, hold on. There's 3 teams on the field. Hold on. Why is the pitch circle? I gotta call you back. Now you have my attention. It took 60 seconds. I asked him, Alexander, what do you think? This looks fun, and I can score more goals. Can we do business with them? That's my kid, right? Same day, Jeff and I connected. And now here we are. And we'll tell you more what we're gonna do with them next year. And that's how it started. TikTok generation, ESPN. So we talked to Gary about this, so you can tell us your opinion of Omega Ball. But goalies get to play, kids get to score they couldn't score, more touches, more speed. All of our coaches said the same thing. This is gonna make them better on the actual pitch for the future. And that was Omega Ball, and that's how we found it, to my 9-year-old.
Yeah, and I think that's important because, yes, it's different, but what it is it brings really high skill to a game that kids can have fun with. That we've had professionals play. So our first events are on Fox Sports and ESPN2 over the last 2 years, and we've had national team players from Canada and Guatemala play. We've had ex-professional players play from La Liga and MLS. And the feedback that we have coming off of these players is that it's the first time we've had fun playing the game in an extremely long time. And if we can translate that for professional players at that high of a level, and I have Rogelio calling me about his 9-year-old son, absolutely, Dad, I gotta play, Dad, I gotta play. That's a win in innovation to me, because now we can teach skill, we can break up the training regimen, we can get small-sided play, which I think is important. We can use technology like what Gary has to actually help educate and coach and teach people how to play the game. And really all these things start to come together and tie together in a very nice package that provides options and opportunity for players.
So yeah, and Gary, how do you see it as, on the other side, right, of the spectrum, from Omega Ball translated to football, and you personally, growing up, now, we're in a different generation, and how new sports can really influence and teach a lot specifically to football. From your perspective, how important is that you didn't have, mainly at the time when you were developing as a football player?
Yeah, I think what's important for all of us, and whether you're a coach or a player or from any background, I think what we're trying to do with players is nothing's changed in the sense of we try and give them structure. So they have a structure and an infrastructure to follow. But I think particularly what Jeff's doing and what he's talking about there is, as coaches, and I've spoke to hundreds and thousands of coaches about players, is we talk about there's not as many decision makers in the game anymore, that we're taking that away from them by making it too structured at times. So, for instance, what Jeff is doing in that format is creating decision makers. You're in a situation where it could be chaotic, or it's, in terms of the pace of things and how quickly they are, but what you're actually doing with that type of format is actually creating decision makers. And again, going back to my original point of creating self-awareness and accountability as a player and as a coach, is putting them into situations like that where they're facing a million decisions at once in a matter of seconds, is exactly what development's all about, is to give them that accountability on themselves, of where we can set them up in a situation like that, coach them maybe a little bit tactically, technically, all those sort of things, but then give them the freedom to make decisions quick. And that's how they learn. That's how the best players in the world learn, through those kind of unstructured practices, as well as the structured practices, but it's making sure that you get the balance of both right. But I think that format particularly will create much better decision makers because they're having to think for themselves. So it's kind of marrying it up together within the structure as well. If that makes sense.
And for you, in terms about decision making, right? With what you guys offer also in the product, that also trains a lot of your mental agility, right? In terms of choosing, the right path, and also on the field with the technology that you bring to the table.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Gary said it before. Our tools or our products sort of put the players in a position where they can develop their skills to be more capable of resolving certain situations in the game. But the game of football will never be structured, or should never be as structured, where you learn to do a certain skill and you do it repeatedly. Excuse the comparison, but much like in baseball, in football there's always a context. There's a situation that needs to be understood. There's a decision to be made, and obviously with Jeff and what they're doing, that has been promoted, or that's been taught on players, which is something that is kind of missing nowadays, with obviously the fact that players aren't playing outside of the football or of an academy environment as much as they probably used to back in the day. I mean, we all played football on the streets. We all fell in love with football, just picking a ball on the street. It isn't happening as much now. It's all more within a controlled environment of an academy. And what that means is players are probably not developing that decision making as much. So what I like to say is we provide a tool to help players be more capable of resolving certain situations, but that doesn't mean, obviously, there is a level of decision making, of thinking, of understanding the game or a situation in the game that needs to be worked on just as much as the technical capabilities, physical capabilities, or even psychological capabilities. It's a mix of all things. That's why we love football. It's not just work on your physical or work on your technical and you'll just automatically be a better player. There's a lot of aspects that go into becoming a better player, and obviously what we focus on is developing one side of them, of those things, which is the technical capacity and the ability for a player to execute technical situations or technical executions faster on the field.
Yeah, I think you hit the key right there. How it's a mix of bringing technology, but also keeping the essence, right? For the football player to make those decisions, and I think putting them in those situations to really learn from experience versus just having repeated sessions, as you mentioned, right? In terms of where we stand as a landscape, what do you think is the thing you need to work the most, Rogelio, from your perspective? I'll start with you, that you are now currently working, but what's like the biggest gap that you see nowadays that can be tackled with innovation and what you're doing?
Very good question. I think I want to call it the biggest hurdle, is to make people understand that ecosystems like this are in fact good for the kids. So to let people, they need to let themselves understand that the way you coach for the last 30 years, clubs, academies have been around for 50, they won national championships, you're doing great, but be open to more. In this case, sports technology is here. Like the curriculum that Gary and Soccer Profile are giving out, there's not one best way of giving it out. So not one club has the answers for everything. So be open to learn. Be open to analyze your players. Be open to try new things. So why not? I think that's the biggest hurdle. Like, people in the United States need to start saying, why not? And that's what we're trying to accomplish. Like one state at a time, one kid at a time, and eventually one championship at a time. And that's our biggest hurdle.
And for you, Jeff, with a new sport recently, what's the biggest challenge that you guys are facing in terms of expanding Omega Ball?
Yeah, I think that the biggest hurdle that any new sport, especially in the world's largest market, is going to face is education and awareness, and getting it out there and having people understand you know, that we're not just trying to be different, but that there are factual benefits to helping people's game along. And I think that the other really, you know, challenging factor is you know, what Rogelio said is it's change. People aren't really keen on change in general, and so I think we need a little bit more of that why not attitude.
Yeah, and definitely in football, that's technology took a while not to get where we are. And for you as here, in terms of the technology aspect in particular, right? You mentioned about democratization of technology, right? And you guys are trying to strive for that. But what's for you the biggest you know, challenge you're facing currently from the Boone Sports perspective?
I mean, there's a level of accepting change, as Jeff mentioned before. I mean, we're coming into places with a product that probably people haven't seen before, and the first question is, what is this going to do for me? So there's a level of educating the customers or clubs or academies about the benefits of this. I mean, you do come to the conclusion that a lot of people aren't probably receptive to change or to different methodologies because, you know, end of the day, you kind of break the mold, as Rogelio likes to say. And that's been one of the challenges. Obviously, the democratization of the technology itself is a challenge. I mean, clubs, academies at the lowest level of the pyramid, or even private training academies, they don't have all the resources in the world to invest in technology. That's a reality. So getting to a level where you know, they can afford a product itself is a challenge, but we think we've got there now, and yeah, we're very excited about what's to come.
Amazing. And Gary, from your perspective, from Soccer Profile, what's for you been the, you know, what's the biggest hurdle that you guys are facing?
There's always hurdles, but no, I think the biggest driving force behind what we're doing, and I think I kind of look at it from the fact of, you know, my background, and I've spent the last 27 years of my life in the professional environment and the elite environment side of it, and as much as I've loved that, and it's been an amazing journey and experience, I think like the biggest thing that bugged me, because I came from the very bottom leagues, and got very lucky to make it to the top leagues, came all the way back down, all the way back up, so I've seen the whole journey of all the different levels. But I think that thing that always bugged me was, at those elite levels, is the unwillingness to share. You got all of that expertise, imagine all of that expertise in the professional game, and the unwillingness to share that with, like we said there, players that can't afford that, or clubs that can't afford that, or it's not in their kind of, you know, realm in terms of to have that kind of access to that type of information. So it's always bugged me. So my idea and my brother's idea when we came up with this platform was, how can we put all that expertise and our network's expertise and put that into a platform where that can be shared to everyone, and it can be affordable to everyone, can be accessed by everyone, and give that elite type of, you know, I look at my sons aren't in elite football or professional football, but same with my daughters. I look at them saying, why can't they have the same type of experience now? Why can't they experience programs, development programs, pathways, education that comes along with it, and have that same experience? Yes, they might not do it to the same ability, but why can't it be tailored to them so they can feel the same type of experience? So coming from that elite background, knowing that in my own mind was, okay, let's put something together here where we can use that expertise, lean on that, and put that out there for the wider community of girls and boys that are out there, as well as the coaches as well. So that's really the driving force behind what we're doing. Hope that explains it well enough.
Okay. And I was going to end at this panel session with where we see in 10 years, but obviously that's really hard because we were talking about it before, you know, being on stage, and it's hard to predict the future, obviously. And you guys, I would say, the whole purpose of this session is we are now in the future with innovation. So I'll start with you, Rogelio, for closing this. What are you doing now, and how do you see innovating the next 6 months to a year?
Okay, so it's implemented the ecosystem that we have built. So we have built a wonderful sports tech ecosystem where we pick the best interfaces, the best sports hardware, and the best sports software to talk to each other. So you don't go to the gym and use one machine, right? You use many. So we work with FitLight, which is by far the best lighting system training in the world. We work with Voon Sports. Why? Because they work with professionals. We work with Reflection, which is a company that analyzes the decision making. Now we're working with Soccer Profile. So Soccer Profile is going to be able to analyze the entire data and make it simplified for a coach or a player. Now we're innovating with Omega Ball. We're going to be launching Omega Ball around the East Coast next year for youth. So you're going to be seeing tournaments. Hopefully they're going to be on ESPN. So where kids are going to have that experience, the experience of feeling like a superhero, the experience of like I was an ESPN and I lifted the cup and I don't want to be a professional. My kid doesn't want to be a pro player, but he wants the experience. And that's the why not. So we're implementing all this and we're going to make it available nationwide. So we're already working with clubs in California, Pennsylvania, Florida, New Jersey, and it's going to keep coming. So clubs that are answering, why not? So we're making it accessible for them, teaching them, and letting them run with it. And at the end of the day, you know, we're in the business of developing the future. And that's what we're doing now.
How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, you know, it's finding great partners like Rogelio and European Soccer that's going to take on some of those youth tournaments from the New England region all the way down to Florida. And we have groups in Arizona and California and Ohio. And so we're really starting to grow out that youth system while we're working on an elite touring tournament across the United States, while at the same time partnering with recent partnerships in Uruguay, in Spain, with Tie-Dye Nation and Trinidad and Tobago through the Caribbean islands. And so when you're talking about growing a new sport, there's a lot of steps that have to be taken. And so we're in the process of taking as many of those as we can in the next couple of years.
Asir, how about you?
Yeah, for us, the goal in the next 6 months to a year is to keep growing, number one, within the ecosystem of elite clubs who have validated our value proposition, which obviously then the goal is to transfer into academies, clubs, grassroots level, so that the kids, such as Rogelio's kid, for example, or Gary's kid, they can get access to technology that's already being used by elite clubs. So obviously to keep growing the brand within the US is a big goal for us. So yeah, we'll see where it takes us, but very excited.
Exciting times. How about you, Gary?
Yeah, I stopped predicting a long time ago. No, like working in partnerships like this and these type of environments, I think the key is to understand innovation and technology will be dictated by this generation and the generations that come. So tailoring ourselves to them, their needs, highlighting what their strengths, their weaknesses are. I already talked about self-awareness and that accountability within them, but we're going to be dictated by these generations. What they need, how do we supply that, and how can we give that to them in a real positive way and give them that education that goes along with it. So we see Soccer Profile along with the guys up here and working together and really like giving them the all-round package and the awareness that what they need in terms of their development. So that's where I see Soccer Profile heading and really tailoring ourselves to the needs of the players and the coaches.
Excellent, Gary. Well, just to end the session, I want to thank you guys, obviously, for you guys being here, for you guys spending the time with us. I really encourage you and invite you to talk to them after the session, and I hope you guys enjoyed this talk about innovation. So have a great afternoon, and see you guys at the drinks later. Thank you.